The numbers told the story. They always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gill Alexander on VSiN.
Hour number 2 of a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, SiriusXM channel 158. My name is Gill Alexander. That person to my left is radio's Kelley Bydlon.
Ooh, radios.
Disappearing before our eyes.
Face for radio.
68 pounds lighter.
I think that you did that math yesterday. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that is that.
A little mathematics. Coming up this hour, Paul Sporer talking division by division baseball with us. Cannot wait for that. When Paul Sporer shows up, you know baseball's right around the corner.
He's pumped. You know how pumped he is? When I was texting with him yesterday, he goes, AM or PM? Either way, I'm in.
Really?
I'm like, Paul, it's been a while since we stopped doing primetime action. It's been a few years, man.
Paul Sporer, our tallest and slimmest guest. 6'5",
probably,
6'5" tall, weighs about 160. And Dallin Cuff, assuming Dallin Cuff's kid doesn't make his life miserable, Dallin Cuff from ESPN to talk college hoops and Premier League.
I think I saw him on 5 different shows over the weekend.
Yeah.
Between the ESPN bet, the studio shows, I don't even know if he was at a game. Like the amount that he's doing over there during the tail end of college basketball.
He was all
season.
Dressed up and stuff.
He looked sharp, yeah.
Real quick before we get to Will Hill, who is standing by, just a couple follow-ups on that NFL stuff, because these are interesting markets. We obviously strayed into the Aaron Rodgers stuff, but we started by talking NFL drafts. Sorry, our train of thought sort of meanders. But there's a couple interesting markets here. One is first quarterback selected. So we just heard Mel Kiper's draft 2.0, his mock draft 2.0, and he has Cam Ward going 2. He had Shedeur going 7th. Should Cam Ward really be minus 270 and Shedeur 2-1?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my first instinct when I saw these, Gill, was if you were interested, like if you thought Shedeur Sanders was going to go first, or you thought there was a chance of that, I think I'd rather play this market of just him to go before Cam Ward. Because I think there's a chance a pretty good chance we get Abdul Carter going number 1.
Also, let me just throw this in there because I want to be on record as having said this, because I know it sounds crazy now. But what are the chances of a team just deciding Jackson Dart is better than the other 2 guys?
Oh, it's possible. I know a couple
25-1.
I know a couple people that have grabbed tickets on him.
Because it's a draft, man. We don't know. All it takes is one team. And then there's another one, which we thought was curious. Well, Kelley did, and he passed it on to me, which is NFL draft, team to make the first pick. Titans right now have the number 1 pick in the draft. They're on the clock, minus 280. So this is obviously, will they trade or not?
Right.
And minus 280 against the trade is basically what the market says right now. Raiders would be plus 350, Giants plus 550, everybody else double digits.
Yeah, I mean, I get it with a couple attractive quarterbacks up there that there might be some aggressive trade moves, but man, the Titans need so much. Minus 280 just feels light to me. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it just feels light.
But the other part of this is, okay, so let's say you think the Titans are trading. Do you have an idea who they're going to trade with?
Right, no,
there's no way you can make a bet here, I don't think.
Well, unless it was the Titans, right? Yeah. The other teams you can't bet.
No. I'm saying but you have to bet on the team to make the first pick. So you would have to identify the team that they would trade with.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's not something that would interest me.
Yeah, unless you wanted to bet the Titans just staying put.
No, exactly.
Right.
Unless you said that. But if you thought, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's not a glory thing to come up with. Hey, I think they're going to I accurately predicted they're going to make a trade, but I guess I got the wrong team. You still don't win a bet. Will Hill joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line at not the Will Hill. That's 2 E's on the on Twitter. The star of the Megapod, one of the stars of the Megapod, and of course he's the host of his own podcast, Should Have Bet More. Also part of Chris Felica's Bear Bets empire over there at Fox Sports. How you doing, man?
Gilly, what's going on? Good to have you back. Hope you enjoyed your vacation. But now that you're back, I want my 10%. I need my 10%, Gilly. I'm going to come get it. Me and Rick Pitino are coming to get it.
Will was referring to the Gus Johnson strange
No.
strange call that I brought up yesterday, which is it was UConn, it was St. John's. There was a lull in the action, and all of a sudden he just decided to fill the time by going, Rick Pitino's dad, once a truck driver, then got his back hurt. When he came back, the Mafia wanted their 10%. Now Rick Pitino wants his 10%. Makes no sense. Nothing. Gus, awkward as always. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up, Will. I appreciate that.
That story is either embellished or I need that can't just be a throwaway line. I need a full 20-minute explanation of what exactly happened, or it's very bizarre.
But where in Gus's mind did he decide I've got the perfect transition now? The son wants his 10. Well, it makes no sense.
I don't know.
Okay. Where do we begin with you? Because there's so much to talk about. First of all, let's just start. Do you have college basketball plays tonight?
I do. I played Marquette. I think it's minus 13 now. I'm okay with that against Providence. They actually played against Providence pretty early in the season for the conference schedule, right around New Year's, and won by 28 in Providence. Providence turned the ball over a million times. They're very turnover prone. And you look at a 28-point victory and you think, Marquette probably shot the lights out from three. Marquette shot 28% from three in that game and still won by 28 on the road. So I think this is kind of a get-right spot. That was a tough game against Villanova on Friday night where Nova hit a bunch of threes. I just think there's some three-point regression in the positive direction coming with Marquette. I don't think Providence is very good. I think Providence will turn it over. So I'll lay it with Marquette. I also like Cincinnati laying 2.5. There's some cheap money lines like minus 130 out there. Since he doesn't score a ton, so maybe money line might be a better way to go. Against Baylor, Baylor's just, first of all, it's a tough travel spot. They played late Saturday in Colorado, in Boulder. Now they have to play in Cincy on a Tuesday night. And they have not been very good on the road. 1-9 against the spread on the road is Baylor. Cincy's played better this last month or so. And it's interesting. If you look at the preseason top 10, half of the top 10 is no longer ranked. Some of these teams are going on the bubble. We talk about the UNC, UConn, Baylor, Gonzaga, one other team I can't think of. Oh, Kansas.
Kansas.
I think it's the portal just evening out this talent. We talked about it with college football where the Georgias, the Bamas, there's not the there's not that Joe Burrow LSU type of team in college football. Sort of the same thing in college basketball, as great as Auburn has been. I think the portal and the NIL is just kind of flattening the talent. So interesting development there, but I do like Cincy and I like Marquette.
Yeah, Kansas playing with their food a little last night against Colorado before winning that, and then Houston taking care of Texas Tech, the two marquee matchups last night in college hoops. I'll ask you what I asked of Wishnev yesterday. You have to make a bet to win it all. Right now, given the odds, who do you bet on? Brackets unseen. Yeah,
you're either going boring with chalk. I think Todd said Florida. I had him on my pod a week or so ago, and he said Florida. What are the current odds on Maryland, just to have a little fun? Are they still in that 40, 50 to 1 range? I know they're probably not going to win it, and it's hard to hedge these things. It's harder to hedge these things than people think when people take a team that's like 200 to 1, say, I'll hedge once you get to the Sweet 16. It's not that easy because you're talking about big money lines. So, but that team is in the top 20. I think they're 16 offensive efficiency, 21 defensive efficiency in Ken Palm. That could be at least a Final Four team. So I will say Maryland just in terms of bang for the buck.
Yeah,
45 to 1 to win it all at DraftKings.
45 to 1?
Yeah.
45 to 1. By the way,
Final Four odds 10 to 1.
I want to give Vegas Chump a shout out. A Vegas Chump on Twitter who said about, betting the market to win it all. He doesn't like that approach. He says almost certainly better to just bet a team to reach the Sweet 16, if you can find those markets, by the way. It's not everywhere has them, than to bet them to win the championship and then start hedging once they reach the Sweet 16, especially for a big long shot. And he does make the point, and it's a correct one mathematically, where the number you get after that, if you were to roll it over, doesn't quite, it's not commensurate with what your odds are for the whole thing. So it's actually a good approach. I dig it, So anyway.
Yeah, and last year UConn, I mean the cool thing to say is just money line rollover, and I think a lot of times that's the correct answer. But last year UConn, you would have gotten like pennies on the dollar because they were huge favorites. I mean, in the Elite Eight, they were 9-10 point favorites against Illinois and double-digit favorites against Bama, even Purdue in the title game that got up to 7 or 8. So that was one where pretty late in February they were 6 to 1. If you say, I'm going to wait till the tournament, I'm going to money line rollover, you weren't getting anywhere near what you would have gotten pretty late in the season.
Yeah. Well, always check. I guess the lesson is always check the various different ways you can bet any one thing all the way to the Sweet 16, money line rollover, what have you. Any baseball? I'm always curious about your baseball thoughts. Have you bet anything season long yet?
Two teams I'm high on, the Reds and the Red Sox, as much as I hate to say it as a Yankee fan. I just think the Red Sox are good with Crochet and Buehler. Bregman is a winning player who brings good defense. Now they have to sort out the whole, Devers, where he wants to play, where he doesn't want to play. They're sacrificing so much defense if they give in and let him play third base. My guess is they're going to have to compromise it at some point and probably DH him. But to me, that's a good team. A good manager. You add everything they brought in this offseason to Devers, to Duran. They've got prospects too in Roman Anthony, in Meyer. They've got a crop of these guys from being pretty bad the last 5 or 6 years. I think they're an over 86.5. I think they're live to win that division at plus 425. The Reds, same sort of thing. They had a positive run differential last year. They bring in Francona, who's going to bring some professionalism, add Brady Singer to the rotation. Spencer Steer was a guy who was a projected hit 30-something homers over his at-bats a couple years ago, missed all of last season. So to me, that's a division. There's no Dodgers. There's no Mets, Braves, Phillies. You can maybe steal that division, 89, 91 wins, something like that. So I've seen some plus 650 on Cincy to win the division. I like that team. I'll give you one more. I like Judge at 16-1 last year MVP. To me, under 49.5 homers. I know you're tying up your money for a minus 110 bet. He hit 58 last year, but he missed 3 games. He played the entire season. If you look at the back of his baseball card, he always misses, or not always misses games. About half of his career, he's missed a good chunk of the season. He's older now. He's going to turn 33 pretty early into the season. And he's got no Soto. I know Soto didn't bat behind him. He batted in front of him, but a lot of Judges that bats, you're getting up there. Soto's on first base or runners are on first and second. Judge is going to walk a lot. He could get hurt. I like under 49.5 homers.
You gotten over the 5th inning of that game yet?
No, not till they win it again. I won't get over it. That's brutal. I mean, it's just little league stuff in terms of dropping the ball. I know we're running out of time. Show recommendation.
Yes.
We beat the Dream Team on HBO. Very, very good.
Okay. And White Lotus off sports. White Lotus episodes 1 and 2 did not disappoint, correct?
The French Canadian girl, that girl's up to no good. She's up to no good. I just got my eye. She's just this isn't even a spoiler, but when the robbery takes place, very conveniently kind of out of harm's way. Something to keep in mind.
There's a lot of stuff going on behind this. Kelley has no idea.
Spoiler alert! What the heck, man? I haven't seen any of this yet.
No. None of this is confirmed. There's a lot of subterfuge.
I'm going to have my eyes on the robbery now.
Oh. Blame Will. Don't blame me. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
All right. See you guys.
Will Hill at Not The Will Hill. Should have bet more, the name of his podcast. Paul Sporer, Division by Division, next.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Sports betting never slows down, and neither should you. With the NBA and NHL in full swing, the PGA Tour underway, March Madness about to tip off, and MLB opening day just around the corner. The action never stops. Start betting smarter with the VSiN Pro subscription. For as little as $9.99, you'll get a daily email with all the plays from hosts and their guests, expert analysis, deep dive stats, and exclusive insights to help you make the smartest picks. Don't place your bets unprepared. Get full access today for only $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. It's Gill Alexander. It's Kelley Bydlon, everybody. Producer number 9. So much more than a producer. Live from Circa. When this gentleman, and I think I can call him a gentleman, when he shows up on our television screens and on this show, pardon me, I get emotional when I talk about him. Man. We know baseball. Baseball is right around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Paul Sporer. You could follow him on Twitter at Sporer, Sporer, and most prominently works at FanGraphs, though he does many things in the baseball world. Paul Sporer joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. How you doing, Paulie?
Gil, I'm doing great. It's wonderful to talk with y'all. How y'all doing?
We're doing great, man. Great to see you. And there's so many ways, and between now and the beginning of the season, we're going to talk about all kinds of markets, but we decided, today, let's just talk division by division and get your thoughts. We'll do American League here in the first segment, National League in the second. I just want to get a heat check, first of all, on you. The dogs are okay. The girlfriend is okay, not necessarily in that order. Yes, okay.
Yes, everything is good. Speaking of heat check, she's sitting in front of a space heater right now. It's going to have to go off soon because we're getting warmer, but we were a sub 25 all last week, so she got to park in front of her space heater all week. But we're pushing up to the 60s here. It's going to have to come off here in a few moments.
Oh man, sub 25.
It was pretty nightmarish. I was making sure that people understood that it wasn't just Paul cold, which doesn't take much because I don't like cold weather, but it was legitimately cold here in Austin, Texas last week.
Oof.
As people in other parts of the country are like, cry me a river.
Right. That's the thing. I know that if it's 25 here, it's just jump off a bridge awful in the Midwest and Northeast.
Yes. Maybe that bad, but I get your point. Let's begin with the American League East, where the Yankees, of course, reign supreme, and they are the short shot. They're plus 110, followed by the Birds, the O's, the Baltimore Orioles at plus 285. These are courtesy of DraftKings. Red Sox coming in third, Rays fourth, and then one of these teams not like the other, the Blue Jays, all the way down at 15-1. But as far as divisions are concerned, in terms of top to bottom, the AL East and the NL Central are the most compact. Is there a bet in the American League East?
I mean, if there is, it's definitely not on the Yankees. It's not that I think they're a bad team and can't and make it all the way back. It's just that I'm not going to take the favorite. I've been pretty disappointed in Mike Elias and what he's done this year, or hasn't done, as it were. And I'm sure you, as somebody who follows the O's, probably kind of scratching your head at some of the things where ownership is saying you can spend some money, and he's like, no, I want to do this with one hand tied behind my back to make it look better or something. I don't get it. Like, he wants to raise despite getting the financial availability, and I just don't understand the decision there.
Paul, who else? Who else are you looking at on the AL East, of just who you expect to do a little bit better than what numbers say, or teams you expect to do a little bit worse?
This Boston ball club has had a wonderful offseason to counteract what Baltimore's done here. Even though I still like that Baltimore team, it's rich. I don't like their pitching as much. Boston's done so well. They went and had a wonderful offseason. They've got arguably the best system in baseball. They have too many players right now, which is a great problem to have. It's not even really an issue because generally injuries and underperformance will crop up, and they will need these guys. So Christian Campbell, Roman Anthony, two of the best prospects in baseball, might not break camp with the team, but they're going to be at the ready if and when things happen to some of their guys that are a bit older and have had some injury issues. Trevor Story, I'm kind of looking at you. Cedane Rafael got to be looking over his shoulder with a 79 WRC plus the last 2 years. Roman Anthony going to be chasing him down. So I think the Red Sox are the bet here in the AL East if I'm going anywhere.
So you like them for the division odds plus 425, right, over win total, kind of everything in that area?
Absolutely. I think that they're a very strong team. The Rays, always a team that I'm going to be looking at. We talk about them all the time. They are a team that is comfortable living in this low to mid 80s win projection, and then they kind of let variance take the wheel and push them over. Basically what Jerry DiPoto said that bothered everybody. I understand why you probably shouldn't say it out loud, but it's what the Rays have been doing successfully for years. Last year, the variance went against them. They had a lot of injuries. They had some underperformances, and things didn't work out. It's rare to see back-to-back years from the Rays not pan out. So I kind of like them a bit too. If you're really not in on the Red Sox, you can go the Rays. But the Rays and Red Sox are the two teams that I'm looking at here, both from an over-under win total and a potential division bet.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the skepticism with the Orioles too, because, and I had this long talk probably with you too last year, but also with Orioles fan Rufus Peabody, who's a bettor, who he's okay with them like playing for the long term, like playing for the dynasty. And I'm like, you've got to try to win like the object
Where's
is
the
to
pitching
win.
though?
Yeah,
where's the pitching?
I don't get it. I don't get what they do every year. It's like you try to win a World Series. Like,
right.
I don't trust them at the trade deadline. I don't trust them to do the right thing.
You don't want to push too far out with things because nothing's guaranteed. You've got an amazing core of offense right now that is overflowing. Heston Kierstead's on the bench, for crying out loud. He'd be Pittsburgh's number 3 hitter, just to name a team that actually is kind of compelling, but they don't have any hitting. And what are you doing with the pitching? I do not understand why they did not re-sign Burns. I thought that made so much sense. The Crochet deal went to Boston instead of them. I mean, I think they've blown a lot of opportunities here to stabilize their pitching, and I think they're going to pay for it.
All right, let's go to the AL Central. This is a fascinating division.
It is.
You are a Tigers fan. Let's get that out there. But Paul is objective on this kind of stuff. So the Twins are the team that is slightly, in terms of win total, above the Royals, Tigers, and Guardians. So you have the Twins at 84.5. You have the Royals and Tigers at 83.5. You have the Guardians at 82.5. And you'll see the corresponding division odds are very close as well, plus 210 to 3-1, all in that pocket. Wow. And then, of course, the White Sox are the White Sox. How do you feel about this group of 4? Can you make a bet comfortably here?
Can I just make a quick point that I'll take the White Sox win total over at 53.5. They're not going to be historically bad again, and I know 53.5 isn't, but I think they can actually push for 60-some wins. They have a good farm system that's going to start paying dividends. I don't think they're a threat to do anything this year. I think they'll just be a standard bad team with 95 to 100 losses. But as far as the division goes, it is a 4-team race here. Love what my Tigers did. I think they would have gotten an A+++ if they'd have been able to bring in Bregman, but he didn't want their money. But the Flaherty re-signing, the Glaber move, the smaller moves that they made on the fringes as well, I'm really excited about that. The Twins, I understand why they're the favorite, because obviously they had that epic collapse last year. They didn't do anything in the offseason, which is slightly understandable because they're basically running it back with this team that was very good outside of the collapse. But they should have done something. I don't think they should have just completely sat on their hands and not signed any major league contracts. Maybe they've signed one since, but for the bulk of the offseason, they did not. So I'm looking at the Royals and Guardians right now as the two teams. I understand why the Guardians are pulled back here a little bit because they got that historically great performance out of the bullpen. I think they're going to be able to take some pressure off the bullpen this year, let the rotation pick up some of that slack that they've usually done in the past. But last year, they had to go heavy on the bullpen. We saw what happened in October. They were gassed. They simply were gassed. I don't blame Stephen Vogt. He didn't have enough starters to trust. But I think Tanner Bybee, Luis L. Ortiz was a good pickup from them from Pittsburgh. I'm a big Gavin Williams guy stepping it up too. So love my Tigers. Definitely can see them over that 83.5. It's not a strong bet, though. That's personal bias toward them. I think the Guards or the Royals are the teams that you want to look for if you go with the division there.
Yeah, I'm low on the Guardians. I'm going under on the Guardians. But if they are to exceed that season win total, that is the path, the one that you just described,
right?
How they get there with starting pitching that is way better than it was last year. What about the AL West, where the Astros are at the apex here? Get the odds up here on the board with the Athletics and the Rangers. The Rangers probably looking for a bounce-back season, one would imagine, after winning the World Series 2 seasons ago. How does this shake out to you?
I'm very much back in, and a little spoiler alert for the NL West, I'm very much back in on both of the 2023 World Series participants. I think they had classic World Series hangovers, and it's not like the D-backs were even bad. Again, we'll talk about them later, but I think the Rangers are poised to jump back up. I really like what the Astros are doing there. The only thing I didn't like was trading Tucker. I think I would have stuck with Tucker over Alvarez, but Alvarez was probably tougher to trade given his injury history. But I think if I'm making a play here, it's on the Rangers for the division. I like the Athletics for the overs on the win total. I think that offense is coming together. The pitching is interesting. I know that we need to kind of figure out what's going to happen in the minor league park there. Is it going to be a bandbox when the weather's hot and all that sort of stuff? I get it, but I think that they can be upper 70s, even push for 500. So I like the A's on a win total. I like the Rangers for the division. I do like the Astros, but they're the short shot in it. I just don't think you're getting enough of a number there. I'd rather see them get off to like a slow start and then jump on them at that point, because I do like the Astros. I think it's going to be a Texas two-step, and the Mariners did nothing to address their hitting. So their hitting still stinks. Their pitching still amazing. I think it's going to be similar disappointment this year.
I want to love the Mariners. I was waiting for you to get to them, but I just can't get there. And by the way, I feel the same way about the Royals too. I want to love the Royals, and I just don't trust it in the end.
I think that is fair. I think that they have a little bit more of a balanced team, and I like the Jonathan India pickup a lot for the Royals.
For the Royals, yeah. He's a boost there. Their outfield is still in trouble, though.
It is rough, yes.
For sure. We'll get to the National League. Paul's thoughts, Paul's bets. That's on the other side. Baseball, just around the corner. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on the numbers game, live from Circle Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. It's Gill Alexander. This is Kelley Bydlon, everybody. Kelley Bydlon on Twitter. EY on Kelley, Bydlon.
That's right.
That's how you pronounce your last name. Losing weight before our eyes. You okay over there? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Were you
doing some scripts over there?
We've had a busy show. There's shows within the show going on here.
If you're wondering why we haven't read as many tweets today, it's because, like, in between the breaks, just to peel back the curtain here, we've had to do a lot of reading.
You have. Yeah.
I apologize for that. Yeah. We do have some tweets. This is from John Balduzzi. As at my twin girls lacrosse tournament, dad's hanging out and started talking sports betting. Topic was which sports we're best at. My response, golf, NHL, and tennis, but I'm thinking of taking grass court season off after last year. Record scratch, all blank faces. I love that. What would you say your best sports are at this point?
NBA.
Basketball and golf, right?
Yeah, NBA golf.
Okay.
NBA golf, NFL.
Yeah,
and the rest is all just pretty casual.
Pretty casual.
NFL draft.
This dude I like over here, I respect, has a pick, and maybe I'll play that too. Yeah. Last name Nash just played. Got my mind on my money and my money on my mind to officially kick off the baseball season with Sporer coming on. Let's go. Yeah, that's actually Mark Borchard who we have the drop of saying that. But Sporer and Borchard, the dynamic duo.
But thanks for the reminder.
But thanks for the reminder.
Text him,
we'll get that in there. By the way, we've been slacking off on those. We got to get those back on. I guess we haven't talked about Caleb in a while. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Sporer once again from his lair in Austin, Texas, to talk National League divisions with us here, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. How you doing, Paulie? The dog.
Great.
Was that Charlotte? Was the dog that just left?
Yeah, Charlotte was the one.
Yeah,
she's still there, but
she's still there.
we turned their space heater off.
Charlotte's
displeased.
She's over the division talk. I can tell.
Absolutely, she's over the baseball talk in general.
Okay, National League East, the Braves and the Phillies, 1 and 2. By the way, there are exactas available too, as well. So if you had like a sense in any of the divisions 1-2, there are corresponding odds as well. You can bet these divisions that way, which is often a much more interesting way to bet them rather than just trying to pick the winner, especially since you'll have the money tied up for 6 months. But this is an interesting division, perhaps to talk about that, because the Braves are at the top, the Phillies right behind them. Some people feel the Phillies will take a step back this year. I'm not sure how you feel about that. Mets, Nationals in there as well, and then the Marlins picking up the rear. What do you think here?
Marlins have the worst lineup in baseball. They could be under, especially if they don't keep Sandy very long. So I'm always a little reluctant to go too crazy on those super low numbers and push them even lower. But I think the win totals should be reversed for the Marlins and the White Sox, to go back to what I was saying earlier about the White Sox there. Again, not going crazy there, maybe like a half unit type situation, but their lineup is impossibly bad. And I love Sandy. I like Ryan Weathers, but 2 pitchers is not going to do it for you. I wore the Nats hat on purpose. I think they're a sneaky little team. I'm intrigued by them. Now, can they make a move all the way up the division? I don't think so. The bullpen's a bit light. You can build a bullpen on the fly, but it's too light for me to get too crazy with them. But similar to my A's lean, where I'm like upper 70s, low 80s win total, this is a really, really compelling lineup that they're putting together. They're literally 1-9. Like even the bottom 3, Kyber Ruiz, Jose Tena, and Jacob Young, is a nice 7, 8, 9 for this young ball club, let alone the emerging stars, CJ Abrams, Dylan Cruz, James Wood, and then the established guys, Nathaniel Lowe, Josh Bell, and Luis Garcia Jr. in the middle. So I know we're kind of taking this up from the bottom there. And then you get to the 3 big dogs. And look, it's already been a rough start to the season for the Mets, losing 2 pitchers. Now, the Frankie Montas one, I can kind of slough that one off. I've been a big Montas guy in the past, and I still root for him, but I understand his limitations. Griffin Canning can replace him, and you don't miss a beat. However, the Sean Manaea situation is a big deal. Oblique, you're probably looking at 6 to 8 weeks. I know after the Montas injury, they said they weren't going to look to add a pitcher. They're just going to go with their in-house depth. I do wonder if they phoned Jose Quintana after the Manaea injury, though, and said, hey, do you want to come hang out with us again? Because we need some more depth there. So they're interesting, but I'm still a little short on them. I think it is Braves, Phillies here. And if you're talking about that exacta that you were saying, that's probably the order I would go. You mentioned that some folks are a little bit light on the Phillies this year. I'm not really seeing that. I'm not really seeing why you would be. Now, it's a big number at 91.5. I wouldn't necessarily slam the over, but I think they remain one of the best teams in baseball. When you've got 2 legit aces, and Wheeler and Nola are 2 legit aces, and I know Nola has some variations in his ERA, but he's a stone-cold stud, plus 2 strong lefties behind him in Sanchez and Suarez. Actually, 3, because Luzardo, he's more of an X factor, though. I think Sanchez and Suarez are more bankable, but their 1-5 is strong. The lineup runs deep. I think Philly's still loaded for bear. However, it is the Braves division for me. They were a team that were just ravaged by injuries last year. That's all it was, plain and simple. I don't see anything more or less about it. They still won 89 games. They just get a little bit of injury luck this year, and they're pushing toward triple digits. So the Braves are definitely the team to go with there. But because they are, plus 110, I wouldn't put a bet on them. I would look for more something like the exacta that you were talking about earlier. Yeah,
and exactas can get real interesting in divisions like the NL West, which is coming up when you pair the Dodgers with somebody else.
Right.
And that's where sort of your odds can increase based on who you end up choosing as the number 2. We go to the NL Central first, though, before we get to the West. NL Central, like the AL East, very compact from top to bottom.
As it should be.
With the Cubs as the short shot to win this at plus 125. And their season win total, though, 85.5 for a division winner. So like the AL Central, a very muted win total for a first place projection. Then it's the Brewers, the Reds, the Cardinals, and even the Buccos. Mm-hmm. Just 8 games back in the win total column. Me at a glance, I think the Cubs over is probably what I'm looking at. How about you?
I think that's totally fair. They were the only team that did a damn thing. Yeah. What the hell were the Brewers and Cardinals doing? The Cardinals did literally nothing. I mentioned the Twins earlier. The Cardinals were that same version, but they're not running back a team that is as capable as I think the Twins are. So I don't really understand what they were doing sitting on their hands there. I know they talked about trading some of the veterans. Nolan Arenado, for some reason, declined a deal to Houston. I really don't understand that because I think the Crawford boxes would kind of reinvigorate his power, and that's obviously a better team. Very surprising there, but this is wide open. I would love to get super excited about the Pirates, but as I hinted at earlier in the AL segment, they just don't have the hitting. This is Mariners East. Not quite the depth of pitching yet, but the same setup where the pitching is really compelling. You got a bona fide ace in Skeens already. Yes, I'm saying that even after just one season. Jared Jones is a really strong number 2. Mitch Keller, a quality 3. I love the Andrew Heaney signing. His biggest issue is always home runs. So go to PNC Park and it can at least trim them down a little bit. But the lineup, I just don't have much to say after Tommy Pham, Brian Reynolds, and O'Neill Cruz. You know, McCutchen is still good, but he beats up lefties. Joey Bart's interesting, but they don't have enough. They need some guys to step up. By the way, I didn't even mention Bubba Chandler, who is a prospect who should be up early. He could take that 5th starter's role out of spring. If he has a big spring, then they're running a 1-5. So they're interesting. I do like looking at them as an over 77.5. But for the division, I'm with you on the Cubs. I want to like the Brewers, but they didn't do anything either. This is how they play it, and it usually works. But I think they're going to come up a little light this year because the division is too difficult. Don't sleep on the Reds with Terry Francona, one of the best managers in all of baseball. They've got a ton of talent. Obviously, it's a little dicey for their pitchers because of that ballpark, but we saw Hunter Green take a step forward last year. I'm a little dubious on it because all he did was have his home run to fly ball rate cut in half, and I didn't see any skill change that brought that about. So I'm a little skeptical on it, but Green, Lodolo as a top 2 there can be nice if they stay healthy, and their lineup is loaded for bear. So I think that the Reds are kind of the sneaky pick. The Cubs are the favorite, as you said, and then the Pirates with a win total there that I would probably take. I think I'd give them a shot at 77.5 there. Again, half-quarter unit type thing because that hitting is so suspect, but I love the pitching that the Pirates are putting together.
A lot of love for the Reds on this show today, that's for sure. Okay, and then the National League West, where the Dodgers are not only ruling the roost here, are the defending champions, considered the best team in baseball, not only consensus-wise, but also market-wise.
Right.
You got the Rockies at the bottom, and then you have the D-backs, Padres, and Giants in between in that order. First of all, does anybody have a shot to win this division besides the Dodgers? And if not, how does this stack up otherwise?
Is there a shot? Yeah, you got to play the 6 months, right? You know, we crown teams in the offseason all the time, and it doesn't come to fruition. By the same token, I'm not going to sit here and try to make anything close to a compelling case that the Dodgers shouldn't be the overwhelming favorite. The way it would happen is that the pitching just can't stay healthy, right? They're just cycling guys in and out because, you know, all of them are getting hurt for substantial periods of time. That's how they would lose it. That's really the only way I see them losing it, though. And even then, they have enough depth that it would probably take like 5 or 6 substantial pitching injuries for the Dodgers to lose this division. They just have gobs of talent, and that's with an entire rotation on the IL. You can't tell me that like Clayton Kershaw, River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan, Gavin Stone, and Kyle Hurt couldn't be, you know, another team's rotation and make them, you know, halfway decent. And none of those guys are pitching this year except for Kershaw late in the season. The rest are out on for the year, and it barely affects them. Not only do they have a great team right now, but they still have a great farm system that they can either use to bring up more guys or leverage to make trades. That said, I like the D-backs. I mentioned World Series hangover. They still won 89 games last year. I really like what they've done. Bringing in Corbin Burns, I don't see Jordan Montgomery being that bad again. I think they're the team that I want to go with, 86.5 there. And if you want to take the long shot on the division, you can. But again, quarter, half unit, don't get silly with it. The Dodgers are going to win the West.
Not mentioned the San Francisco Giants, perhaps for good reason. That's all right, I understand. Paul, we'll see you again real soon.
Sounds great. Take care, guys.
My man, Paul Sporer at Sporer from FanGraphs. Tennis picks and more on the other side. It's a numbers game at VSiN.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Back on a numbers game live from Circa, Gill Alexander, Kelley Bydlon. Time for our G-Bank best bets of the day. Every show, every host, every guest, all our plays recapped at the end of every show here on VSiN. I will start with mine. because I haven't even talked about these, but these are 3 tennis plays I have today. Nice that the tour, both men and ladies side, are here in North America, so we can actually give these out on the show. VSiN.com/picks for all of the tennis plays. On the ladies side, Kelley, I believe this is in Austin, Texas, and not in Merida. No, I'm incorrect. This is in Merida. This is Magdalene. She's up to -135 now. I got her, again, this is for subscribers. This is why it pays to be a subscriber. Got her at -125 last night against Elisabetta Cocciaretto. I love that name.
Yeah, you got some names on here today, dude.
I love that one. So Magdalene not as good at -135. Sorry about that. Again, pays to subscribe. On the men's side, these are both on clay. These are both in Santiago, Chile. I'm on Federico Correa at +116. You can get him right about that. You're actually probably 3 cents better than me. Federico Correa against Marcelo Tomas Barrios Vera. And then I'm on Juan Manuel Cerundolo, not to be confused with his brother Francisco. You know him, Kelley.
Yeah.
He's at I got him at -103. He's -110. Don't let it get any higher than that against, and this I'm not pronouncing correct. It looks like Tiago Monteiro, but that's a Portuguese kind of pronunciation, so it's still a little different.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then the Guardians under 82.5 wins from yesterday in terms of baseball. Kelley, sir.
Yeah, just one NBA play for me tonight. I am laying it with the Memphis Grizzlies. Laid 7 against the struggling Phoenix Suns who are coming to town. It's out to 7.5, 8 now. We're getting pretty steep out there, but no injury reports out yet. I'd probably still play 7.5, 8.
All right. Drew Dinsick joins us earlier. He's got a couple plays in the NBA. He's on the Magic, taking the points against the Cavaliers, team with the best record in basketball. Or as Drew said it during the show, well, I guess I'm on the Magic.
It's funny. So I did the same thing last night.
Yeah.
The opener was 5.5, and I was staring at it. I'm like, I think this Magic team's coming around, but I just don't want to get in front of the Cavs. And now seeing 7.5, I'm like, I'll let you play it, Drew. I'll let you play it.
He's also taking the Lakers, laying the wood against the Mavericks. Luka's first game against his former team. And then finally, Will Hill, a couple plays in college hoops tonight. He's on Marquette, laying the 13 against Providence. Cincinnati laying 2.5 against Baylor. And then a few season-long baseball plays. Aaron Judge under 49.5 homers. Red Sox over 86.5 wins. And the Reds plus 650 to win the NL Central. Did he say plus? Did he say to win the division? Did he say that?
Yeah,
we just put down AL East.
He did. I just typed in AL East.
Let me tell you something.
Reason.
If they win the AL East, you should get a way better number than plus 650.
Yeah, you really should.
Yeah.
Really
G-Bank
should.
Best Bets of the Day, once again, always brought to you by G-Bank, the official bank of VSiN. Don't forget, G-Bank upping the ante with up to a $750 bonus for a new G-Bank Visa Signature card for all customers of the Visa Signature card. First, new customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases within 90 days from account opening receive a $250 bonus. In addition, if you spend $50,000 on gaming and sports app loads within the 30 days of account opening, you'll receive another $500 bonus. That's potentially a $750 bonus. I did the math. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That's VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Always a pleasure to have this gentleman on the show. Kelley was saying earlier, and I agree with him, when you turned on ESPN and watched college basketball this past weekend, we probably saw him on 7 different shows.
That's what it felt like, yeah.
But he looked great. He had a light suit on, was a good look. It's Dallin Cuff, everybody, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. And thank you for noticing the wardrobe, the light blue jacket. I'm trying to will spring into the tundra we live in here in the Northeast. Make it happen.
It was great. By the way, when do you, just sort of inside sports broadcasting, when do you find out how many appearances you're going to make in a given weekend?
That's a great question. Basketball game day determines what happens in the studio schedule. So basically what the game day game is, when they have it, and when they're doing we call them wraps, like before, the things at halftime and post game and stuff, we call it wraps. They determine that. And then from there, the studio then has to build up their schedule. So for me, I do that 8-10 Friday night game. I get on the earliest flight. I fly back to LaGuardia or to Bristol or to Bradley. I'm there, on campus by like noon. It's tight. And then usually it can be noon to 12, it can be noon to 8, it can be whatever it is based on what the game day game is. We kind of get our schedule dictated to us.
It's a good life. It's a good life. Looking good. It was great to see you on. And obviously this is the home stretch of the regular season. Conference tournaments right around the corner, March Madness. Let me ask you a micro before we get to the macro, which is, what do you like today specifically?
2 plays I like today. Florida is one of my favorite teams, and I think we talked about this, guys, back in November when Florida was 25 or 20 to 1 to win the national championship. It's one of my favorite teams in the country. That said, they do have the game day game this weekend at home against A&M. So I think this is a little bit of a look ahead spot. They're playing at Georgia, and Georgia's kind of season is on the line when it comes to their NCAA tournament hopes. They need a win like this. They're getting 7.5 at home. I think Stegman's going to be pretty pretty live. They do defend well. They make it really tough for you to score. They can struggle to score on the road. At home, they're slightly better. So I think I'm going to lay the points. I think they could pull a shocking upset here. We have seen Florida at times downshift mentally. And when they do that, they struggle. We've seen it in games. We saw it the weekend at LSU. We saw it at Missouri at home when they were down by 20. We saw it at Tennessee when there were two guys not starting. And those guys thought they were going to walk all over Tennessee and they got their doors blown off. That can happen with this team. And I wonder what they're going to be like mentally tonight. So I'll take the 7.5 with the Bulldogs at home in kind of a desperate situation. On the other side of things, in terms of, not desperate. VCU's rolling right now. They won 12 of 13. Now they're playing their rival Richmond in Richmond's building. That place is always an intense game. I've done that game many times over the years, that rivalry. And Richmond is really struggling right now. And VCU, I don't think has taken any days off on this one. Now, offensively, they can get stuck at times, but defensively, they're elite. They're one of the best in the country. They're easily the best in the A-10. So I want to go under the Spiders' 59.5 team total. This team can struggle to score. They don't get to the free throw line. They don't offensive rebound. And Chris Mooney's a great coach, and he's their bottom 20 team in the nation in tempo, and they're going to try to grind this thing down to stay in it late. So I think they're going to be in the 50s in their points. So I'll take the under 59.5 for these Spiders. All
right, let me ask you a couple rapid-fire sort of macro college basketball questions. Obviously, we don't know the March Madness brackets, so this is brackets unseen. But if I took Auburn and Duke off the board, and I said to you, Dallin, I'm coming to you from the future, someone won the national title, it wasn't Auburn, it wasn't Duke, who does it end up being?
I just said I think it's a healthy Florida. I mean, we've seen Florida playing through injuries without Alex Condit at times, without Elijah Martin in the last month, and still winning big games. Now, that's what I said. When these guys are fully locked, I mean, Todd Dolden's group they've got everything you want. They got some of the best guards in the country: Walter Clayton Jr., Will Richard, Elijah Martin, as I already mentioned, Aberdeen off the bench. You've got some of the best bigs in the country. Alex Condit can stretch it. Hawk can stretch it. They get the offensive rebound, top 5 in the nation offensive rebounding rate. Shinny Lou is great. They defend so much better than last year. They can play in an up-tempo game. They can play in a half-court game and out-execute you, and they're very well coached. So, and let's be real. Playing through the SEC, you've gone through an absolute gauntlet. They have some of the biggest wins possible, including winning at Auburn, maybe the best win in the country this year. So I think the Gators, if you take those two teams off the board, the Gators are likely my winner in my mind.
Okay, give me the name of a team. Now, I'm not going to win the national championship, but as we all know, the first weekend upset filled, and then it gets kind of chalky after that. But that first weekend, there's always a team or two that surprise us that get to the Sweet 16. Give a team or two that you think, given the right matchups, might just be that team to get to that second weekend.
It's tough because I'm trying to think in the bracket. I don't want to be chalky, but I'm trying to think of seeds. Who would be like a 7 through 10 seed? And I think let me give you this better formula here without just throwing out teams, because that's kind of tough at times. You want to look at your 10 or 11 lines that have power conference teams that have quality wins. But yes, they've had bad losses, but they can find a way to go. You can find a way to get in there and then make some things happen. Vanderbilt, I think, is a good example. Vanderbilt's been really been very good at home. Mark Byington in his first year has been outstanding. They're tough. They're mature. They can win in different scenarios, in different places. And I'd like to see them in a neutral court, what they could do. And they probably fall on that 10, 11 line, if you will. In terms of other teams, I think I'm going to lean a little bit to the SEC bias here in basketball as well, because there are a bunch of teams on that bubble from them, but they have all really good wins. Like, I don't think can't trust myself at Arkansas, and Oklahoma doesn't shoot threes, that has to make threes too often. But there are teams that hover around that bubble that I think they've had the players, they have some good coaching, and can find a way to win some games. But that does base on the bracket and the matchups more than anything else, because you need to get the right first matchup, and then from there, who would you play in the second? Or if you're a 10 and you're in a 10-7 game, you're not playing a 2 seed. What's the most advantageous 2 seed to play? Sometimes those are tough to prognosticate without looking at the deck, if you will.
Since you bring up the SEC, it does beg the question. And you've played college basketball yourself, albeit in the Ivy League, so maybe not have that long tournament experience. But a team that advances far in the SEC tournament, let's say it's a gauntlet. It will be a gauntlet regardless. But let's say the nature of the games makes it that much more of one, and they're tough games. A benefit heading into March Madness, a detriment, or we make too much of that as the media members?
It's a great question. I've had coaches say both things. We've heard both things. Whether it's Jim Calhoun and Cardiac Kemba and those guys going 5-5 and getting hot and rolling. We've seen teams do that, and they went through that rugged Big East back in 2011. So they had the very similar situation we're talking about right now. I think for these teams and what they've accomplished, the highest end teams, the Auburn, the Florida, Alabama, if they lost, I don't think they're going to bat an eye. I don't think they're worried. I don't think it'll affect them. If some of the middle road teams, if you will, win this thing, then that may help buoy them, help give them the confidence to make a deeper run. But ultimately, that is going to be an absolute gauntlet. You've already run it through the regular season. I think if Auburn got bounced in the semifinals, that would suck for them because they want to win a championship, but it wouldn't change at all how I approach them in the NCAA tournament. Same thing goes for Florida. Same thing goes for Alabama.
Dallin, appreciate the time as always, man. We look forward to it.
Anytime, guys. Be well.
Dallin Cuff, everybody, at ESPN, at Dallin Cuff, DALEN, on the old Twitter machine. Stormy and Matt are next. Money Moves, right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Enjoy.